to order. It is 6 p.m. on Wednesday, December 13th. If I could have Director McVeigh lead us in the pledge, please.
Be happy to.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll do roll call.
Terry Lincoln.
Scott McVeigh.
Beverly Fickus.
Logan Johnston.
And General Manager
Yeah,
Paul
Paul
Kelly.
Kelly, General Manager. I will just mention to you, our administrative assistant Kayla Fox was intended to be here, but her son woke up very sick at like 2 in the morning, so she did not make it in today and won't make it in tonight. So, make sure you speak clearly and loudly for the recording. I will make as many good notes as I can.
So open time, as you all know, I've been very lax with protocol. So just as a reminder, if you didn't sign up on the list at the start of the meeting to speak for any items not listed on the agenda, just raise your hand and stand or come to the podium. So do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak? Yes, Jackie. No, this is Jackie Longbriar.
I have brought a friend tonight, Audrey Carl. She teaches out at Shasta College. She's the head of the Ag department. And I'll let her kind of introduce who she is. She's interested in being the community member for our Ag group up here. So, but I'll let her speak. She's awesome, by the way.
Yes, please.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Audrey Harrell, and I met Jackie actually through a farmer's market that we did together. We have booths next to each other, and we got to visiting, and she mentioned that we both were living in Happy Valley, and I had told her that I was looking to get a little bit more involved in the community, that I haven't really lived here that long, and that when I did move in, it was COVID, and so a lot of stuff wasn't happening. And when she heard that I was involved in agriculture and that I had a PhD in ag-related field, she was like, what you'd be perfect for? The water board. And I said, no. I don't think that's really me. And she said, no, we really do need somebody that has an ag background and ag experience to help, just on, and I said, well, I don't have the time commitment to be like a member of a board or anything. And she said, well, no, it's more of a, community member type of thing. And I said, well, that sounds like something more that I would be able to have the time commitment for, because like she mentioned, I teach full time at Shasta College, and if you know anything about the ag program there, it's relatively robust in the amount of events and student work that is there. So I actually told her I came straight from there to here, even though it's late. So, but yes, I told her that I would be willing to, I didn't really know what it entailed, but I told her that I would be willing to contribute my experience such as it is, not having grown up in the area, but such as it is, I would be happy to help in any capacity that's needed. So.
Did you receive an application?
I downloaded one off of the internet this morning, and I have it like a quarter of the way filled out. So I wasn't sure how in depth I needed to go on the application, but I do have it with me. I can continue to fill it out and turn it in.
You know what? Yeah. Name, address, and email. And
because it asked about all of my experience and stuff, and I was like, maybe it'd be better if I told the board.
Yeah, we're good.
I mean, the doctor in the front makes it sound a lot more exciting than it really is, but like I said, every area is specific and has its own unique needs with regards to ag and with regards to water. But I'd be happy to contribute my thoughts as needed. So
turn it in.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, consent agenda. We have minutes, paid bills, payroll, and activity report to look over. If anybody had any questions,
There's extra agendas in the back if anybody wants.
Oh, yeah, there's agenda packets and agendas and stuff.
Minutes were
Madam Chair, maybe just a couple quick comments. I know that, we have a couple of, invoices in here, and I do want to just touch on the ability answering paging services, which is our answering service. But on the bills paid, I wanted to mention a couple of items on there. Not really sure why, but you might notice that Pace Engineering for $52,000 has no memo.
Yeah.
So it's because, I'm not really sure I understand it, but it was not an adequate answer, but when I inquired of our bookkeeper, she said that was like, it covered 3 invoices. One was for the treatment plant's SCADA machine, which is a non-grant project. The other 2 were for the Backwash Ponds project and the SCADA South Wells project. And you'll see most of that shows up in the expenses on the activity report. So I would just wanted to comment on those. The other one, which was this Rossi Electrical with just a little cryptic memo of 400, again, not sure why, but that's for our SCADA South Wells, and that turns out actually that's kind of a duplicate one that we're gotta deal with, and the other ones, USBR water payments, I think I reported in my Bureau report to you that I'm gonna say it was because of us, but not really. You might recall that we pay ahead of time for our water schedule, and mostly because we were getting Bureau water, we were getting a lot of credits built up for our water. And so I got a note and a call from the Bureau about 6 weeks ago saying, hey, you can't take your water account credit and roll it into your restoration and PUD charges. Because, when you take negative $5,000 in water and you owe $3,500 in restoration and a few $100s in PUD, it totaled down. That's their chart, totaled it down as negative something, so we don't send your check. Says, yeah, you and one other district. So we redid the whole thing so that it doesn't do that. So these 2 bills, Bureau bills, about 3/4 of the way down, was us making our restoration and Trinity PUD payments, even though we are tracking our water credits. So just kind of wanted to mention that, and then also the board members had requested we put a copy of the ability answering service, and I know we've had some concern about the cost of our answering service and the service that we were getting. You might recall that they actually canceled us we didn't know why, and it turned out because our payment showed up on the 31st day, and they canceled it, and then they reinstated it. We have a more detailed report of every day, all the calls and everything, but what we put in here, and we probably should review the detailed report, is just the more summary report. But one thing it shows is that they are getting a lot of calls, and so it's not necessarily an unreasonable charge. I did have a meeting with Rio Alto, Bella Vista, and Cottonwood, in Centerville, and at our Orange meeting, they asked, what are you guys doing with your answering service? Everybody said not kind things or good things about all the other services other than ability, and none of them are super happy. Only 2 of them actually have ability, but they all said head and shoulders better than the other ones that they got rid of. So I think we just need to keep track of this thing and maybe look at some alternatives if we are able to do internet phones, or maybe do sort of a system that the nice thing about potentially upgrading our phone system to internet phones is you can actually have people, if it's a non-emergency, just leave a voice message, we'll get it then in the morning. Or they could push a button and it'll ring our on-call phone. So those are things that we might be able to go to at some point.
Well, one of the other things that we can do, is put something in our newsletter to make the customers aware that, that there is a lunch break between 12 and 1, and no one is there to man the phones, and that the answering service does charge us per phone call, and that, that there would be a $50, which is in our policy and procedure already.
It's actually, I found a statement, it's $96.
Okay, then that's even better. Then if they want to turn their water off and it's not an emergency, there will be a $96 charge. I mean, these guys are coming out and turning off water just because people, feel like it. And they have to know that it's expensive, and these guys get paid for their time, but it also costs the district. So we need to put something in big bold letters so that we can cut back that. And I told you, but I will tell everybody else, I went and called the different answering machines that are available, answering services that are available in this area, and they're really bad.
Confirmation of what I heard.
Yeah, they were really bad. I mean, they couldn't even answer my phone call to have somebody talk to me. So, after that, I thought, well, we're happy with what we have, because at least we have somebody that answers the phone.
Right.
So in the billing system that Pam and I just signed or reviewed, there is a further breakdown, and it is by day. So we can sit there and analyze. So for instance, Friday holiday, I'd have to count it, but there was a gazillion phone calls into the district on Friday the holiday. And so that's one thing, if we put in the newsletter, hey people, don't call on the holidays. Or they're calling, are you open? And so that could be alleviated by a different type of answering system. But I don't know specifically how much each individual call costs us, and that,
I believe it's in that detailed breakdown.
It's according to the minutes,
But,
and
yes.
we had well over 300
Yeah.
in just incoming calls.
Right.
And when you add the weekends, which is more, and the holidays, which is more, then the bottom line is it comes out of our budget.
So you're looking at about 65 cents a call in a cost, because the inbounds were $221. So if you break that down, and then a surcharge of weekends, it's about 65 cents a call.
yeah, this last month was $358, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this is 221.
335. I'm looking at the statement.
Well, if you take a look at,
Balance forward.
if you look at inbound charges, 221,
Yeah.
and I believe this last month that just came out was
Oh,
300 and
The
something.
one that's in next month's
Yeah.
package.
Yeah, you'll see it next.
Yeah, okay, so that makes sense.
And a lot of them were the holiday
Yeah.
after Thanksgiving, and they charge us even more for that. So.
And then Christmas is a Monday, New Year's is a Monday.
So I think, in the end, and again, I think we are getting some value for what we're paying for, because we definitely have a service that's picking up the phone, and they're doing a better job than anybody else at this point.
Yeah.
The real cost is more what was described, which is the overtime that we pay our guys to go out and on.
Yes.
So we do need to institute the charges, and it's gonna be a lot easier to do when we have our new system, because even the on-call will be able to access and actually say, I went to this house with this account, and it'll tag it right there. It doesn't have to be paper.
That's good.
Not only that, is the guys don't like, they're on call for emergencies. They're not on call to shut somebody's water off because they have a hair up their nose.
Well, but it's been district policy that,
During normal work hours.
no,
No cost.
not just that, but it's been district policy that we promoted, do not turn your water off yourself.
Correct.
So that's, people have got
Yeah.
that finally in their head, I'm not gonna touch it.
Right.
And so they, when they want it turned off, they want it turned off. So we had a windshield replaced,
Yes.
so why was that?
Received a
Was it 10?
pretty good rock and,
Okay, that's fine.
yes, and basically this happened right around the time I made a very large payment for our auto insurance. I decided not to make a claim because it went up already. And so I just said, we're just gonna pay for this one. And I would just like to point out on our activity report, or profit and loss report, that I expect one of you is gonna ask a question about the miscellaneous revenue, 12,100, because 11,745 is a lot in miscellaneous revenue.
You think?
One of that amount, which is a pretty good amount of it, I don't know, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 of it, is the JPIA insurance payment on Unit 9, the collision that our treatment plant operator unfortunately was in. So, you know, we paid the cost of the repairs, and then they reimbursed us, and Melissa didn't have any other place to put it, so she put it in the miscellaneous revenue. And then the other amount, almost $7,600 of that was from an old Happy Valley Road and Lloyd break, in which there was an insurance claim because a contractor had hit a pipe, and it languished for a long time, and I guess somebody for the insurance company got assigned this thing, and they called me and said, we want to close this out. And so I went to Roberto, and we had all of what we thought the cost was and what we submitted. And so they offered $77,681 to close it out, which was more than our initial estimate. So we said, send it.
Yeah,
And
great.
so that's in the miscellaneous. It's a long-winded way to explain why that is a larger number than you normally see. But I also wanted to point out, you know, we're trying to find ways to track our grant items. So under 1,600 here, we actually got $68,660 from the state of California as a reimbursement for the South Booster State Electrical Grant, which is good news. And then I just would point out one other thing. If you run a quick calculation on our base rate revenue, we're pretty close to 94% revenue.
I did that, I did the calculations, that it was about 93.76. But some of that is because you get people in payment plans getting caught up a little bit.
Yep.
So that probably skews it, we're probably at really what, 91, 92%.
That's excellent,
Which,
That's better than we have been.
which is, yeah, excellent, yes, exactly, yes. I would say there's probably a good, depending on the month, 2 to 5% of that is from that catch-up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How are we with delinquent bills?
It's in here.
Yeah, it's in there. It's, I would say, actually today, we had 7 shut-offs scheduled, which is a little bump from last month. But, you know, we're still pursuing them. I would say Lee Watt, the financial assistance, has been an incredibly good partner. When not everybody is willing to apply for it for some reason, but those that do are really get approved fairly quickly.
Great.
There was some $7,000 for this activity report, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's excellent.
Yeah, you know, water finds its level, as water district people we are. obviously, when we finally got around to, after 2.5 years of the district, not really, I mean, doing one round of shut-offs, post-COVID, you know, we had 256, you know, initial shut-off notices. I think you may have seen, in August and September, we had $111,000 worth of, you know, income from that. But it's gonna, I mean, we're gonna get down to the harder cases.
Now, isn't it this time of year we're supposed to send information into the county if we want to put a lien on a piece of property? I thought it was December every year. If we have some long-term people that we don't really want to go do another round of write-offs.
I do not know when that date is.
Okay, I thought it was December every year.
We'll have to check on that. I think that the staff has thought that it would be best to get converted to the CUSI system that actually has its own lien processing module that we will have. And so we'll give it a little bit more time, get them in there, and then we'll process it.
Anyone else have, Terry, any questions in regards to the consent agenda? Scott?
Just the activity report. I'm glad that we're listing the expenses for the SCADA or any grants and whatnot, and you're getting some totals. So if people pay attention to that, at the bottom line was not 16,530, because you've got about 58,000 plus in there of grant expenses for the month. So add those two together, and you're getting closer to 76,000 for this activity report. In
Well,
actuality.
other than that 11,000, which was that.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit here or there of
Yeah.
some things,
It takes, yeah.
but as long as we're paying attention to the numbers.
Dr. Beaver? No. Dr.
I have none.
Thompson? And I don't. Any comments from the floor in regards to our consent agenda? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I will move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Director McVeigh to accept approve the consent agenda, and a second by Director Lincoln. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you to the board, and before we jump to item 6A, I will just mention that, you know, the end of December is the end of our second fiscal quarter, so we are still planning to be before you at our January meeting with that quarterly, which now will be the first 6 months budget to actuals comparison and maybe some adjustments, as well as the balance sheet and some of the other things that we talked about back in October.
And will you have things ready early enough for the finance committee to review and make any recommendations?
I don't know that. I'm hopeful that we will.
Okay.
My plan would be to have a finance committee the second week of
That
January.
would be nice.
And then our regular board meeting for Wednesday. The plan.
Okey-doke.
All right, just on the Bureau reconciliation, we keep this one on here. I already really mentioned that one of the things that we're working with the Bureau on is this new payment recap. I would just mention I attended the Central Valley Project Water Association, CVPWA, Friday, and they were rolling out this new recap form that they had already sent me. And so there were a lot of questions from folks at that meeting, so there's, you know, a few hundred other districts that are trying to deal with the new form, but because I guess most of them hadn't had to deal with the issues that we were dealing with. We have not received our official letter from the Bureau on our WIN Act final payment, so we should be expecting that at some point. The other thing is we did have a little issue come up, and Bill was able to get a bunch of folks from the Bureau to go look out at a little section of exposed conduit pipe, way up more closer towards the treatment plant. And so we're working with the Bureau to figure out what to do. We'll be back to you for more. Anyway, with that, nothing else from the Bureau.
So you said in your little memo, though, the Bureau sent an updated reconciliation sheet to start the process of dealing with the 2020 through 2022
Oh,
accounts?
yes. And again, they mentioned at the Water Association meeting on Friday that, wait till they update those, classic. So, you know, their fiscal year, so they, at the end of October, had sent these 2-page spreadsheets with the different accounts and different numbers in there. And when I called Jake on that, he says, well, that was just, you know, the computer spit it out. We haven't actually had a chance to look at it to confirm that that's the right.
So that is not in reference to that letter we received where they wanted more money from us?
No.
Oh, it's something different, okay.
Yeah, and in this case, he said what it should show is that we have some sort of credit in the water account. You know, we have a couple $1,000 we owe on the restoration account, and we don't owe anything on the Trinity PV account. Something like that, but it didn't show that on that one sheet.
Okay.
Even though lose the paperwork.
Yeah.
Okay, 6B.
Yeah, 6B, so excited to bring before the board this item, and I know Bill, who's here, our chief plant operator, is as well, but I'll just quickly go through the background as the board recalls. We've been working on the backwash ponds repair project, especially after the car fire. The damage to the ponds. We've also been looking at how to update them with a concrete liner for better operations and maintenance. We did receive from Cal-OES, I'm sorry, not OSHA, FEMA, a grant for $2 million. We've also received from the California Water Board grant $3,060,000. So we've got a total estimated reasonable project cost of $5,064,000. And the total construction cost, and I put some notes in here in the back, was $4.3 million. That's with contingency. The state did not sign a funding agreement until April of this year. Once they signed that, we were able to send PACE on their way to design it and go through the process. So PACE embarked on designing the project. They met with the stakeholders, keeping everybody informed of the progress. In October, we posted the project inviting bids. We ran it twice in the newspaper, and then they also had it on GovBids and publicbids.com. There were 3 bids submitted and opened at the PACE offices in the presence of district personnel, the general manager and the chief plant operator, and of course the PACE engineer. There were 3 bids: RTA Construction for $5,085,000, Allen Gill Construction for $4,778,650, and then MDS Engineering and Construction for $4,952,000. So Garrett Hattenhauer from PACE reviewed all the bids, making sure everything was copacetic, and then it's their duty, part of their contract was to recommend to the district to award the contract, and they've sent that, that's in the packet, to the lowest responsible bidder, the Allen Gill Construction. After that bid was submitted, Allen Gill did send in their revised or updated list of subcontractors. I checked with our attorney, and they said that's like immaterial, really, that they're doing the same work. But you know, I've asked for a motion that includes that. Once I tell Garrett that you've acted to award the contract, we then go to the next steps. One, the contractor then has to get all the contracts documents. They got to get their bonds, their insurance stuff submitted to PACE. So that'll probably take about a month before we actually have a signed agreement. The other thing that triggers, I think I marked it, I believe it's on Exhibit A, and it's page 6 of 20. I didn't put it all in there. But there's item number 3, which is bid opening. We're a little behind on that. It was supposed to be July 30th. We didn't get it done until November. And then the final budget approval packet submittal, that's going to be about a month late. And so the project cost, or the construction cost, was, that initial construction cost was $3.9 million with $390,000 in contingencies. Well, that's based on 2020, 2021 numbers. So that's why after bid opening, you go back to the state to get an updated and amended funding amount. So that's what PACE is putting together. So we're gonna obviously ask them for probably close to $1 million more, depending on where it plays out. But it's gonna be a combination of more in the construction and more in the contingency, because the state likes to see at least 10% contingency. And there's also some other oversight type things. I don't know really the final number they're gonna ask for. This, we had a call with the state 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, to tell them, look, we got a bid, we're ready to award the bid, we're gonna be coming back, and they said, no problem, we'll just get it submitted by the end of the year, we'll give you some sort of letter within 60 days that says it's been approved for the more money, and then there's paperwork to get it done. But that allows us, because the plan would be for them to go into construction in May. Just a quick reminder, this is a 2-year construction project. In other words, we take one pond out of service, they go up there and they work their tails off, they pour all the concrete, they get it all ready, they test it, make sure it works. We use it this time next year over the winter, and then in 2025 they go back out and go do the next pond. So that's the other really nice thing about this project. The funding element we have some time for. In other words, we'll, if for some unknown reason the state budget turns out to be $200 million deficit versus 68, whatever, or 6 billion, and they say, oh, yes, we'll approve you for more funding, but we're not going to give it to you until we have the budget. We can say, well, we have the money to pay for this year's construction. We'll just have to maybe delay the next year's construction or whatever. The other thing too, I know I've talked to the board about this on the cash flow issues potentially. So we've written it into this contract that they do not, the contractor, when they submit a bill, let's say they submit a bill on July 1st of this year for work done up to that time, we do not have to pay them for 120 days. So in other words, they're holding for us because the state is on the hook to reimburse us within 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we take that bill, put it, package it together, send it to the state, they ding around with it, and then cut us a check within 90 days, then we can pay them.
So for clarification, the original combination of the grant was $5,064,000, $68,000 in that range. You're saying that we'd be asking for approximately $1 million more. Okay, and with if we accept the low bid of $4,778,000, will there be enough room left in there then to cover not only our cost to PACE for all their work, but can we use up some of that in administrative costs? Because I know we're limited to going back to, what is it, April of 21? Anything prior to that, we can't submit as expense.
Oh, yeah,
And
this
capture some of
one's
that.
pretty challenging because you have the Calaveras FEMA portion,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a whole bunch of different rules. So one reason why they will not fund the improvements to the project.
Right.
The concrete system. So that's why the state has come in and said, we're gonna fund it, and that's why they've also come in and said, we'll fund this new request.
Okay.
So that's part of what PACE is doing now to submit that final budget adjustment, is to calculate, making sure they get all their costs in there.
Good.
It could very well be, we're gonna ask for 1.4 million.
Okay.
You know, but
As long as we're covering all those costs.
well, and then the other thing too, real quick for the board's purposes, Cal OES, I think they hold back 6 or 10%. And so well, that was part of our conversation with the state. The state is willing to fund that 10%.
Nice.
So that's what PACE is doing right now. They're running calculators and spreadsheets to figure out, okay, well, part of that administrative cost, we need to ask for 200,000 more. But actually, if they're gonna fund the 10% of the 2 million over here, we actually have to ask for 400,000. That's part of what they're putting together.
Right, okay.
So the question I had in regards to this was that when I saw that Alan Gill had inadvertently missed a couple of the subcontractors, does that up their bid? Because because if they inadvertently left them out, are they saying that you need to add some of those funds in?
No.
So that was my little hiccup that I thought, well, wait a minute then, are they revising in their total bid? So,
Right.
so they're not.
Right, so, that was the very question I asked Eric Hattenhauser when he called me and says, hey, I just got a call from Rose a couple weeks ago that, they didn't identify correctly the couple of their subs. I said, well, I don't care if they identify their correct subs, we're not gonna give them any more.
Your bid is your bid.
And he said, oh no, they were very clear that it was just the name of the company that's doing the work
Different companies.
for the price that they
Mhm.
bid.
Thank you.
Yep, very good question. But yeah, I asked him the same thing.
Anyone else any questions in regards to that? Okay. Anything from the public? Okay. So we need to entertain a motion to, accept this and bid or award the bid?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
So at the end here, I have a little recommended language there. We need a motion to accept and award the bid for the backwash pond project in the amount of $4,778,650 to Allen Gill Construction with submitted subcontract.
Is that in here?
That's in the very end of my memo.
Okay.
Mhm.
Who's making that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Or how he stated it.
That is kind of why I read it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to be written.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Lincoln and seconded by Director McVeigh to, whatever you said.
2-year language.
I'm trying to find where you had said it, okay. So, a motion to accept the award bid for the backwater pond repair project in the amount of $4,778,650 to Allen Gill Construction.
Yeah.
All those in favor with submitted subcontractors, because it was revised.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Bill, you might get a project out there.
One of many.
About time.
All right.
All right, so the next item, it's really at the board's discretion if they want to proceed with this item. I mainly put it on here because I did the edits as per submitted, but I may have missed some. And I also included an ordinance, a proposed draft ordinance that just basically would be the board. You know, it has a bunch of whereases that we have a contract and that we have a drought and planning, we've experienced droughts, and that the board's determining that it would be beneficial to have a drought and supplemental water program as per attachment A. And then that has the document that was there before. The top of page 2, we've changed the minimum purchase quantity to 1/2 acre foot. I put in there 218 units, we can get that out of there. In my copy, I just noticed in the packet, but I still have the italics for board consideration. And then I believe in E, we had a lot of conversation, and I think I captured the edits that were suggested at the last meeting. So with that, I'll leave it to the board.
Page 2 of the application, it's still stated per HCF on the deposit enclosed. That was something I had emailed you about. And that's that second page of the application, so it's right near the end.
Oh my gosh.
So it should say, just like it says above, per half acre foot, in half acre foot increments. So if we can just edit that
Yeah.
part, and we can go ahead and probably approve this.
Oh, I have some questions.
Oh, darn. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, so I had brought last month with me to make sure I've got it situated correctly and which is which here. Okay, so, on G, you're telling me that it's a non-refundable deposit. So what happens, because we have to do this in February, by the end of February, sometimes the Bureau comes out and says, we're not giving you half your water in March, and then it rains for 3 months,
Right.
and we have a full amount. So you're saying that the deposit is non-refundable. So, so what happens if we don't buy any water and they've made a deposit? It's not that we're unable to secure it, but we decide because the district or the Bureau comes out and gives us water, that we're not gonna buy any water.
Yeah, in my opinion, the second portion there where it says, unless the district is unable to secure the supplemental water. So, obviously, we wouldn't secure supplemental water if we didn't need to secure supplemental water. In other words, if the Bureau came out with 100%, then we would refund the deposit.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't have purchased the supplemental water.
So could we do needed to secure the needed supplemental water? I guess I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but it just hit me funny. So that was my concern, was that, well, wait a minute, there's gonna come a time and you're gonna tell me I don't get my money back when you didn't buy any water.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, oh no, if that's what it says.
Well, unless the district is unable or doesn't need to secure
So
additional
just
water.
something maybe to clear it up is all. I just don't want that in there that,
So in the event that it is not needed to purchase additional units, or we cannot secure additional units, then the.
Sure.
yes,
Right,
yes, thank you,
okay.
thank you, what he said.
I didn't say it that well,
Okay, and then on number I.
Can I just real quick, 'cause
Yeah.
I think I might be able to capture this.
Okay,
Once a deposit is submitted, it is non-refundable, unless the supplemental water is not needed or the district is unable to secure the supplemental water.
perfect,
At which time the deposit will be
returned.
returned.
That could be considered by a customer, well, I decided I don't need the water, therefore I want my money back, even though we secured the water for them.
So read it
so.
over to
So
me
you would
again.
just say 100% allotment by the Bureau.
Yeah, I mean, we could, this year, in their modified, after their initial 75 and 35, their next one, we would have had sufficient water. So I would just say, unless the supplemental water is not needed by the district, or
Yes, needed by the district.
Unable to secure.
Yeah,
Or
needed by the
unable to-
district, that
There
clears
you
it up
go.
right
That
there.
covers it.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Because back to Director Johnson, because he might not have been aware, but so the first allocation was 75% of our historic M&I, and then 35% for irrigation. And so, you know, that was maybe 1,800 acre feet, I don't know, give or take, I don't remember now the numbers off the top of my head. So, you know, it was like, that's why we were like, okay, we'll consider it on the water, we're not sure. Then they went to 100% of our historic M&I and like 75% of our irrigation, and at that point, we would have had sufficient water, we wouldn't have needed to buy any supplemental water. So that's why this language would cover that. So in other words, that's why I'm a little hesitant to say if we get 100% allocation, because
Right.
we could potentially not need supplemental water, even if we're at less than 100% or
And we may have to buy it.
Because we have enough water for customers, it's cheaper to buy Bureau water than supplemental water through Macomb or some other entity. So we'd be saving the customer
Yeah.
a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, no, they would get their deposit back and they'd just be paying our rates, which would be
Right.
at the Bureau rate, so.
Okay, so number I, when we talk about it, revise the previous submitted application for increases only. And then, excuse me, a revision must include the additional deposit necessary to cover the cost of the supplemental water. So it's not really a deposit then, you're asking for a full payment?
No,
If it says must include the additional deposit necessary to cover the cost of the supplemental water. Tell
of
me
the
what,
additional supplemental water then.
Yeah, it should be additional.
So if, by adding the word additional supplemental water, that should cover.
a revision must include the additional deposit necessary to cover the cost of the supplemental water. What do you mean by that?
And I think what is being suggested is that we change that or edit it to say a revision must include the additional deposit necessary to cover the cost of the additional supplemental water.
I went from 1 acre foot, now I want 1.5 acres.
I'm just having to pay a deposit, or I'm having to pay the entire amount?
Deposit.
Yes, it's an additional deposit to cover the cost of the additional supplemental water. So here, for example, under F, the board will determine the amount of deposit. Let's just say they say it's gonna be $10 per half acre foot. So customer A comes in and says, I would like to have 1 acre foot of supplemental water. Here's my $20 deposit. And then 2 weeks later, they come in and say, you know what? I want another acre foot. So that would be under I. They would write out that I want now an additional acre foot of supplemental water, and here's another $20 of deposit for that additional amount.
So you're making 2 deposits.
Potentially.
But you also have to pay in advance, at what point? What point do you gotta pay the whole thing off?
It's in here.
Let me just-
Once the application is submitted and the water purchased by the district, all applicants are obligated to pay the full amount.
Right,
So that's prior to receiving water, correct?
right.
But we've already signed a contract with McConnell, the district had to purchase the water.
Right.
And that's why the customer should pay them.
Well,
Hey, Dan.
okay. Those were my concerns. Let me see if there was anything I wanted to hop on the.
Well, I think under G, that little edit is much clearer and helpful for sure. And I think in I, if we put in that additional supplemental water, I think my scenario works that.
I just don't like additional and additional in one sentence.
It's
Additionally,
okay. It's okay.
Okay, I think we fixed that. Okay, all right, that was the old notes, those are the new notes. Okay, that was my concerns.
Any other-
Director Lincoln, any questions on it?
Nope, I was happy with it the way it is.
Director Beaver,
No,
and I think you're.
I've been
you're
working
good?
on this for a couple of
Yeah.
years, so
Okay, all right.
I'm happy with it.
Anything from the public on it, on the supplemental water? Okay,
I got a question for you. You said on the ag water for irrigation, and they
they raised it to 100% and gave you 75% of your ag water. So who determines the price of that ag water?
The Bureau.
Yes.
The question, part of it is if we have to go out and buy water. And then that water, if we have to buy it from McConnell or from the city of Reading or wherever we can
So
get
that
water.
was 2 years ago.
Right.
Right now, no.
Right.
You didn't buy any water this year, right?
Yes, we did.
Well, we did, but.
As an insurance
But
policy.
it's not really wrapped into this, we didn't put it into the cost of the water per year.
Because the Bureau didn't
So
come
where
and,
did that water go?
we used it, we spent it.
Went through the
Sold it
district.
to the
Because if we
company.
didn't use it, it was use it or lose it. So we had, because what was it, April or May is finally when the Bureau came out and said, oh, guess what, you're gonna get 100% of what you need.
Your contract.
And we had to secure it by the 1st of March, because if we didn't secure some water as an insurance policy,
I understand that.
yeah,
So if you had to use it or lose it, why didn't you offer it to the customer at a better rate where we could afford it? I had to move my cattle out of here. I couldn't afford to water my cattle. on
this
your
last
price.
year,
Yeah. Again, it's 1 cent less than what my drinking water is.
correct.
But that comes
It-
down
My
Because
to-
that's
cows
what the
each-
Bureau's charging.
Each cow drinks 35 gallons a day.
I've raised a few.
So,
And to clear it up, my name's Jerry Hill.
thank you,
I just
Jerry,
want-
nice to meet you.
I just bought Kathy Muse's place over here off the Saddle Trail. And I run Hills Livestock and Longhorns. I got registered Longhorns out there. So right now, on my property, I got 20 head. I run about 50, but I can't run them on that piece of ground. What I did find out is the squatters that come in our area don't like the Longhorns. They're scared to death of them. I've got 4 cows that are 99 inches tip to tip.
Wow.
And they're impressive.
Yes.
They'll come up, and you got a hay cube in your hand, and they'll come lick you to death to get it from you. They've never hit me with their horns. I put them on the property next door at 6,200 for 3 days, and they were gone.
So the water wasn't at a discount, the McConnell water was $250 an acre foot. And the water that we were producing was at $50 an acre foot or $51 an acre foot, I think that's correct. Do I have that backwards? So anyways, the use it or lose it was we used it, we had to spend it. We'd already obligated ourselves for that. It's not that we abused it and got rid of it. All of our costs, it is at 50 or 51 cents, 100 cubic feet of water. So, to use. So I don't quite understand, were you thinking that we were just throwing water away?
Well, you said you used it. Where did you use it at? Did it just?
It went into the system.
I used it.
Went to your house and went to everybody else's house.
Yeah,
So then you didn't have all your water. If you had to use the water you bought, you didn't use all the 100% they gave you.
oh, correct. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that's correct.
We only used about 2,300 so far, right? 2,300 acre feet of water. We were hoping we would have used
2,000.
about 3,000 acre feet of water this year from
Well,
people.
that's what I'm saying. If you would have dropped the ag rate to where we could afford it, you would have used that.
They can't though. The Bureau comes down with the cost of how much it gets charged and we just forward that cost on. So there is no extra, it's not like we're fluffing this out.
There's a formula we have to follow.
So is your formula different than ACID?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
oh, yeah.
No, for the ag water.
No,
Yes.
all our water is filtered. That's the problem. We don't have just irrigation water like ACID. We have filtered water, and everybody has to pay for it, regardless if you're an ag customer or not. That's the problem.
Yes.
That's the problem. It
And
used
all
to be
goes
where
through.
you could get cheap water, irrigation water. And what we were doing, I think through the years, we were charging less for the ag water, even though it was filtered. And so just recently,
Yeah, that was a problem with this district back in the day was when my Uncle John built the Rainbow Lake Water District, it was ditch water and they wanted filtered water.
Uh-huh.
right,
And he tried to talk him into, before he died, he tried to talk him into keep the ditch for your irrigation.
Yeah,
And they
Yes.
voted it out, the old board did, voted it out, and that's what screwed everybody, because this valley used to be green.
yeah.
Yep,
The Strawberry Festival is because they raised strawberries here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the plants, they grew the berries.
yep.
And it don't grow out there now.
Yeah.
I get a little irritated over this because I got fined when I was still paid, Kathy paid my bill because she didn't want to change anything until the escrow cleared. But I got fined just for my cows drinking the water. That's bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna deprive them of water.
Right. Well, and that's why this supplemental water program that Director McVeigh proposed last year or a year and a half ago.
2 years ago.
And the prior board didn't want to deal with it. So now we're getting it implemented so that if we ever do get into that predicament again, we can go out and buy, even if it's $400 an acre foot of water, that people can use it if they've got the money to buy it. So,
It
because,
won't be cheap water, because if
It
the
won't be
Bureau
cheap.
cuts us back, we have to try to find it to help the customers.
yeah,
I
The Bureau is
understand.
really trying to get rid of the ag.
I understand all that.
yeah.
But
Well-
I would really like to see your ag water, I mean, somebody needs to work on that and get that price down.
Let me jump in.
State your name for the record, please.
Dennis, son. I agree with him because I think due to the Prop 218, is that?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
The the livestock people don't benefit from filtered water at all. In fact, the filtered water has got chemicals in it that kind of bad. And so I think since we don't benefit from it, we shouldn't be charged for it. And that law, Proposition 218, was for domestic water for drinking. It was a drink quality problem, and the filter plant was for drinking water. And we don't use, livestock doesn't benefit from that pure water.
You're right, so with about $30 million to run a separate distribution pipeline
Well, we
throughout
just
to our ag
Well,
customers.
or raise the price of domestic water a little bit.
We can't.
Drop
That's
the
profiteering,
ag
yeah.
a little bit.
The law states we can only charge what the water costs us to acquire or treat with a small, very small percentage profit. So
Yeah,
legally, we can't
That was
jack it up to,
No,
you know.
but I understand that, but you can still drop the ag water to where it's feasible. You know, not just a cent less.
So then the district goes back into the negative again?
Well, you have to raise.
So it sounds like you need to attend one of our ag committee meetings that they standing.
Oh, believe me, I'm gonna be attending.
Oh, okay, good, because that's one of the things that they're gonna have to do is to look at things of that nature. I don't know that you can based upon what the laws are.
I
And
understand
it's
that.
filtered water, so, I think we have very few farms out here that only run cattle or livestock. Most of them have homes and the water.
Well, I got
Or-
both.
Right,
Yeah.
we've
I
got both.
live on my.
So in the
So do I.
past, we had two rates. We were paying a domestic rate, base rate, and we were paying an ag base rate. And that's how we got the cheaper water. That's how we were able to get the cheaper water. But it almost equaled out. We were paying the same.
Yes, we were.
And that's what I don't understand. I'm paying two base rates. I got one dwelling, but I also have ag water.
You should only be paying one base rate if you've only got one home on your property.
Do you
Well,
have
I'm
more than
gonna-
1 meter?
I got one meter that has two addresses to it.
The 1 meter
Yeah.
with 2 homes?
Yeah,
Or one home?
there was 2 homes until the gentleman died and we had to demolish the trailer.
Okay, give him the address, please, we're gonna take one of
So-
those base rates away.
Yeah, you just need to come
But-
down and apply to get rid of one of those base
But
rates.
that cuts me back on my water allotment.
Yeah, you're right.
No,
Only when there's a drought.
Yeah.
Only when there's a drought.
Which then there's the supplemental water program. which
Well, I haven't got the crystal ball to tell me where the drought's gonna be. So I don't mind paying the 2 base rates. But,
Calculate it out to see if there's any savings, because if you have to pay, oh, go ahead, yeah.
but if I put wheat in and I want it irrigated a little bit, so I have some grass to feed them through the spring and into the summer, I asked the people here next door, which is, I believe your employees, they couldn't answer any question. How much water am I allowed? What's the price? Who makes the decision on the price? You need to come to the meeting. That's why I'm here.
Appreciate you being here.
But I don't wanna have to sell this place and move my cattle out to Millville or to Cottonwood. I like where I'm at. It's quiet, and I've got it safe. It wasn't safe when I moved out there.
I like that idea, lawnmowers, that's a good idea.
Me too.
I sell them. They ain't cheap.
Yeah, are you on Facebook at all, Jerry?
Yes.
Okay, so I try to post, and I forgot to post tonight's meeting, but I post a lot of things about some of the standing committees. You can go on the website to see when the meetings are. Generally, the groups meet quarterly, usually 6 o'clock in the evenings, even for the standing committees. So try to check those things. We'll try to we don't necessarily always have a month in advance when we're planning a meeting to put it in the newsletter. But if you want to give your phone number to either Scott or to Logan, they head the ag committee, and they can notify you personally or via email too. So,
But one of the things that you do need to do, understand is the Bureau's trying to get rid of ag people.
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't have a say in it because I have ag water too, it doesn't benefit me now, but.
Once the Win Act is paid, the ag rate's gonna come down a little bit.
The Win Act is paid.
Yeah, we're paid off.
Yeah, but we won't see that
Yes.
until the next rate sheet, basically.
That's right,
for the next
starting
water.
in March.
So we paid the Win Act?
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
we
paid.
paid $710,000.
Isn't that great? You can
That is
commend
great.
our general manager for getting that taken care
That
of.
is great.
Yep,
So, yeah, the ag rate will come down a little bit, yeah.
Anything helps.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Just do not do what the ACID did 2 years ago,
no.
because you won't like me then. They didn't like me then when I went down there, because I had 6 pieces of ground leased, and I paid the water bill, because you pay it up front.
Okay.
Oh,
And they didn't give you back
And they
any?
gave us no water whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The people that got the checks were the landowners,
Oh.
not the guy that paid the bill.
Oh.
And they weren't willing, and I've got all of them in court right now.
Good.
I got a damn good lawyer, and he's gonna, I don't wanna break him, but I want my money back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
But it killed all the trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ruined half the ditches too.
Well, we're glad you're here because you can be part of the solution and working out some of the kinks of some of the things, so.
The other thing is, when you got a broken line, call us. I work for Badger. We have hydrovacs. We do a lot better work it's for finding you other utilities.
Uh-huh.
So I think we've been doing it ourselves, haven't we, with the vacs?
Yeah.
Vac trailer.
With the vac trailer.
Yeah.
I put four vac trailers up against my truck in an hour, and I did twice the work. Well, in a day. I proved to a contractor, he had 4 big trailers, double your size,
Uh-huh. How many gallons? 1,200, 500? I don't know.
1,600 gallon tank.
Oh. They're pretty heavy.
That's my debris tank. My water tank, I carry 1,500 gallons, my fresh one.
We can't haul a trailer with that gross vehicle weight, unfortunately.
No, mine's a truck,
Oh, you have a truck,
yeah.
actually.
I got a 4-axle
Yeah.
truck.
Oh. What do you rent it out to the district for?
I'll tell you what, I'll send Jesse Murray, our area manager, in to talk. Who does he talk to?
Talk to me.
Right there.
Are you here during the day?
Oh, yeah.
I'll have him come talk to you.
What's his name?
Jesse Murray
All right.
with Badger Daylighting.
Yeah.
And that truck sits in my driveway, so.
Okay, did we approve the drought?
No, we have not.
Sorry.
I would like to make a motion to approve the drought and supplemental water program with the corrections that have been made. Thank you.
I second it.
Have a motion by Director McVeigh to accept approve the supplemental water program as amended this evening. And a second by Director Beaver. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carried 5-0.
Great, thank you very much. Just a couple of quick items on my report. One, I mentioned in a note that I was going to be at the Association of California Water Agencies / Joint Powers Insurance Agency conference 2 weeks ago. A couple of items that I wanted to just mention to the board that were big subjects. One was just liability insurance and how much it's going up, and our auto insurance, which definitely impacts us. The good news is our workers' comp insurance is staying fairly level, even though as a district we've had a couple of claims over the last 3 or 4 years. But the big thing they harped a lot on was cyber security. I know that I have mentioned to the board many times that we needed to invest, and we did. Thank you to your board, into some new computers, a new firewall, and all this other kind of stuff. Because I will just remind you that we do pay a little cybersecurity charge. It's about, it went up 600% between 2021 and 2022. So JPIA has pulled it out and doing a bunch of new things. They've hired a couple of companies. One's called KYND, and the other is Before You Know. They do 2 things. They send training information to all of the district employees on how to recognize phishing, emails and all that other good stuff that we all see. It's really easy to recognize the Crown Prince of Sudan, who has, $30 billion if you just, send them your information for you. That's easy to figure out. That's phishing. It's the other ones that look a lot like an Amazon email or whatever. So there's that they're really focused on. I will just remind you too, which is one of the added expenses of doing some of our SCADA updates. The Calusa Canal, they were hacked. The FBI came in, they took all their computers, and this was right in April when they were delivering, 100,000 acre feet of water to all their crops, and they had 24 guys, 24/7 running up and down the canals, manually pulling up and down gates because they weren't able to control them via computers. So that's why I'm super sensitive to making sure that we are as clean as possible. I got in there a little bit about the backwash ponds. We just did the contract award. We are making great progress on the South Booster electrical and SCADA. The communication boxes are in. The fiber is showing up next week and hopefully gets pulled. All of the panels and other things are already in to be tested, as well as some of the items on the wells for like the startup of the wells remotely and all that rest of that is
Good.
close.
Can we go back to Aqua for just a second?
Yeah.
Having read that mailer that they sent out prior to the meeting, the lead article was what was it, about water efficiency or something, and possible government mandates coming out?
Yeah, I'll speak to that too. Yeah, I actually had on my note. There was one other thing that I had mentioned to our chair. We heard a report that there are 2 bills in the legislature related to ADUs.
Which are additional dwelling units.
Additional dwelling units, or in our case, we have a policy in which if you have a second unit right now, you would pay another base rate. It increases your drought allocation, obviously, as Jerry mentioned, but also it avoids the $20,000 cost of putting in another meter. And so there's one bill that would require all additional dwelling units or granny units to have a separate meter for sewer and water. And as I've had other people say, there's what about capacity charges? What about a bunch of other things? So there's a lot of stuff related to that. There's another bill which, in my opinion, shows how disconnected from the real world the legislature is. They said you are going to be allowed July 1 of next year to sell your additional dwelling unit or your granny unit without subdividing your property or anything else. So in other words, our brilliant legislature somehow thinks that there's no such thing as property rights or ABN numbers and all this other good stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how those are gonna go. The talk is that we may see the requirement of separate meters and not the other one, but it's in preparation for the other one.
That's so they can monitor and control how much water is being used.
Yes. So then the water as a conservation is a way of life. That we are currently not an urban district. So Bella Vista, City of Shasta Lake, and a few others are having to do a significant amount of work related to this one. They gotta do a forensic water loss analysis. I'm doing one obviously for financial reasons and system reasons, but they're having to do it because they gotta report to the state. And then there are statewide now going to be requirements that says that what we now call health and safety may well be required. In other words, 50 gallons per person per day.
Yeah.
And so the huge kerfluffle is that may work for downtown LA or Orange County or San Francisco or San Jose or anywhere else, but there's a 90% of the rest of the state. It doesn't make any sense. And we have my friend John Friedenbach, who's the general manager of Humboldt Water District, Humboldt Bay over there. I mean, their temperature and climate is so different than ours. We've got heat. We've got scrolling signs when we have 100% allocation saying use as much water as you can afford, and the rest of the state saying, don't use water. And so it's a Donnybrook, and I found out from Rob down there that they have one working group for small community water systems, but they are still classified as urban systems. Dave Coxey from Bella Vista is on that committee. As it turns out, there's 25 members on that committee. He's the only one that's representing a water district. All the rest are state officials. So their disconnect from reality is really challenging. So we'll see how that plays out. Knock on wood, we are still considered an rural ag irrigation district in the eyes of the state, even though we have a lot of M&I. And even though we gotta fight the Bureau and report to them our ag acreage to preserve our agriculture.
So in that bill you're talking about, to meter it's gonna be a separate meter for every house, is that also in that bill? The one where every well's gonna have a meter to meter the water coming out of the ground?
No.
That's a separate bill?
That's a separate one, and it's working its way around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Fortunately, we're rural enough and small enough, it'll be a while before they get to us.
We want to avoid that second one for sure. I do want to mention, I know I told you last month that we signed the ARPA agreement with the county. We have started the process of purchasing over 1,700 registers and transponders for our meters, so that once we get them, we can start installing them. The Badger meter company is going to, basically deliver 300 or 400 of them at a time every 6 weeks. The benefits for us for that: one, we can install 1,700 in 30 days. Number two, when we don't owe them anything. We don't owe them anything until the 400 meters show up, and then we pay them for it. Then that gives us a little cash flow, and we can then get reimbursed for that.
Will the ARPA money come in a timely fashion for us to pay for those 1,700?
No, we've gotta get reimbursed, we gotta pay for them and then we gotta reimburse.
Okay.
That's why I wanna spread out the
Sure.
delivery of the shipping of them, because, you know, the first, it's a $300,000 order, so, you know, at about a $50,000 clip, I can pay for that and then get reimbursed and pay for the
Okay.
next one, get reimbursed. I mentioned that I applied for the EPA Water Infrastructure Resiliency Grant. You know, this is the one in which, I'm calling it the Clear Creek, Wildfire Drought and Resiliency Assessment Project. So this is one where in which we would, if they give us the grant, we get an engineering firm to go out and look at all of our fire hydrants, location, flows, storage, a whole bunch of other stuff as it relates to fire resiliency. I'm convinced one thing it will show us is that we need to get more storage, a storage tank, which we can use to go get a grant for more storage, hopefully.
And possibly upgrade some of the distribution.
Oh, yeah, and get rid of hydrants that are useless and not needed, and install them where they're needed and get more useful, all those kind of things. Unfortunately, she's not here to receive accolades, because Kayla Fox gave me her notice on Thursday. Unfortunately, she's leaving us for another position. She was fantastic as an admin assistant. As you know, we have 3 good office staff, but she basically got offered a job, a 35% increase in her pay. And with, as a mother of 2 kids, you know, give her a hug and congratulate her and thank her for her service, and because it was $5 an hour more than even the salary, you know,
Top tier.
top tier.
Yeah.
So we're very excited for her. We're really bummed for us because she's great. We posted the position for internal promotion. There's really only 1 or 2 people that could apply for it. And you know, we've got a great account clerk who's done a great job, and I know she might be interested as well. With that,
Give her a good going away party, because anytime somebody betters themselves, I'm happy for them.
absolutely.
yeah.
That's exactly right. I consider that meant I was successful. I got them to do better than they are here.
Yeah.
That's in my mind what a successful manager.
I think Director Johnson will.
Yes,
I have one quick thing. When we met in November, the crew was in the middle of going through and flushing hydrants.
Yes.
Did they circle back to that and
Yes.
findings were good?
No, they just restarted.
Yeah, they just restarted. So they did pretty much all the north half of the district, and now they're, we had leaks, and we had quite a few, we had a run of leaks at the beginning of November. We then had, then we got meter reading, Thanksgiving, and so we restarted it for this week.
Okay. The last hydrant on Saddle Trail, when you go through the dip,
Yeah.
are you familiar with the area?
Yeah.
There's a hydrant right there on my property.
Yeah.
If they flush it and put it in the side ditch, it'll wash, my meter's in the side ditch.
Okay.
So they'll bury it, so just tell them to cautiously do that one.
Channel it onto your pasture.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can spray it on my property, I'd be happy. I've thought about it many times, I know the consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, get a long hose and tell them to just turn it on and all.
Well, that's what we'll
Well, I do have hoses, if that place caught on fire again like it did when the hot water caught us on fire,
Yeah.
I could keep my house from burning down. I'm set up for it.
I just wanted to follow up with the board with the additional dwelling units. I have not done any research or reading of minutes for the last month because of the holidays, so I probably won't start back up till January. It looks like what I'm looking for though are in the 80s, and I didn't find the 80s minutes in the back room yet, so I may have to go digging elsewhere. But trying to find if they first approved the additional dwelling unit.
Well, the next item is our operations report. You can see pretty much steady on our, from last year, or last month, I mean, on our delinquent accounts. You can see how much we actually have collected though, and the VWAP is been very helpful. Again, we can't wait for the new system because it'll have a lot more abilities with our payment plans. I already mentioned to you that today we actually had 7 shut-offs. So that's pretty much, we're getting down to the ones that are the hardest to deal with. And a lot of these are gonna roll into the new system and then trigger liens and all that stuff. So hopefully avoiding write-offs, but we'll see.
I'd like to avoid another round of write-offs.
So you see the treatment plant operations. We produced 203 acre-feet. Our district used 131. Yes, if you do the math in the back of your head, that means Centerville used 72. We also did use 68 acre-feet of the no-charge portion of the water.
Right, but we're falling a little short of our projection for the water year. We projected, what, about 3,000 acre-feet total usage? It looks like we're gonna come in that 23 range, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I think what we would say is that I've seen this when I was in Lake County, after the 2016 drought, that first year, everybody's so used to their ground,
Yeah.
they've been water, so hopefully next year we'll have a regular year, we'll start being able to use some more of that water.
I'd like to jump in there a little bit. Yeah, I think, the drought, last year touched lots of people sold their livestock. And then some have just, stopped watering, and then when the rates had changed, the drought was done and the rates went down, they didn't start watering. A good one would be a neighbor of mine, Russell. Russell Seymour. He had 5 guns, big watering guns going, lots of time, every day. And now he's sold his livestock, he isn't watering them.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and we also heard that back in the April time frame, it was hard to find replacement livestock.
Yeah, so I think gradually that might come back,
But the next drought, if we have restrictions, we could be right back there again. And I don't blame a homeowner for not landscaping their lawn and whatnot. It's good for 2 or 3 years, and a drought hits and it's dead again.
Well, you also got advertisements on TV and on the social media both, that we're still in water conservation mode.
Yep.
I know, we've tried everything we can to refute those. But
But
everybody believes what they see on TV. Sorry. All right, Madam Chair, I think I am to the committee items. I do want to remind you that, under board member items, that would be a place to have you direct me to sign the support letters for the fire line. Really, there's nothing to report on our standing committees other than the fact that we have 1 applicant in hand from Dennis for the Ag Committee, and we have another from that's about ready to be put in my hand from our guest tonight, which is awesome. We have a couple other people that are interested in, I think, the Finance Committee we mentioned. So I was just going to suggest that we post on our website that we move that December 20th date to sometime like January 10th.
Sure.
And because you won't be seeing those anyway until January 17th meeting.
Just to let our newest community member know, we have different standing committees, Finance Committee, Agriculture Committee, and we're taking applications from people living out here to be a community representative on that committee to help us, make the decisions that benefit the community. So when we do have those meetings, And if you're chosen to be on the committee, it's a 1-year appointment. So if at some point, if you wanted to apply, you'd be considered, or maybe a year from now.
Where do you apply?
There's an application online at the district's website,
Or you can pick one up.
or you can, pick up one here in the office.
Okay.
And if you're not chosen, doesn't mean you can't attend the meetings and
Participate.
participate. We'd love to have you.
I'm wondering, are we limited to 2?
That's what we've decided.
Yeah.
Why
2,
are we limited?
I agree.
Well,
I guess they're more like a board position, kind of, standing committee official?
No, all we do is make recommendations to the full board.
Well, I know that, but,
you know what? I think this is a subject for your January meeting. I think if you read your policy, you would like to have more than one community member.
sure, we would like to have at least 2. I think when the grand jury did their report, that was one thing they recommended,
Yes.
so maybe that's why we went that route.
But
Just,
it's at the board's discretion.
Yeah.
If they've got 3 applicants and they wanna put 3 on the committee, they can put 3 on the
Yeah.
committee.
There you go.
That would be my opinion.
yeah, I agree, Agreed, no
You
argument.
guys have to
Okay.
do that.
So, I wanted to,
Can we back up to water treatment?
sure,
And since we have Bill here, I'm just a little concerned about some of the issues we're having with the water treatment. What is it, track 4, disabled? I've been aware of these issues for a while, and I knew we were struggling with a couple of them out there. In your opinion, what time frame do we have before we really have to sink some money in out there?
okay, so I'm gonna stop you and ask you to please elaborate on what you just said, because I have absolutely no idea what you
Okay,
just
under the
said.
water treatment, there are some, explain better for us, Bill.
There's, just real quick, there's 4 bullet points there. There's one related to train 4 and then train 6.
Correct.
And I think it would be good, Bill, if you could just explain what we've been talking about, which is some of the impending
Disaster.
expenditure challenges.
So this is under, this is in the memo, the operations report, for the water treatment plant, and you're asking about the bullet point of, training for the backwash is disabled. So, that filter cannot be auto backwashed. It kind of falls in line with, probably 6 out of 8 filters right now that can't be auto backwashed. I mean, automatically backwash unless somebody's on site. A pneumatic actuator malfunctioned and actually snapped a linkage. It was in a bind. We were unaware of it. Those actuators are obsolete, and so we're trying to find a cost-effective alternative. We're gonna have to do a replacement. Probably a $3,000 or $4,000 actuator, but just this style actuator. There's 32 or 36 of them, and some of them are from 1977. So if you, I know I've sent spreadsheets for water treatment plant equipment, but all that 1977 equipment is, you can barely use it. But for right now, to get this filter back online, we would have to just purchase a new pneumatic actuator, but it's not just that easy. We gotta find one that'll work with our valves. Moving down, train 6, that's the one we've been talking about for years, and it might be on its last leg. Operators, including myself, we don't feel comfortable putting it in service. If you turn it on, it will fail, so it'll call us out. So if it's called to run, it will trigger an alarm,
Right.
which is over time. So you can see some of the highlights there of what we're working on. I've gotten called quite a few estimates to get it fixed, but they're not cheap.
Yeah.
So when we talked years ago about an $80,000 filter rehab, I think we're up to $160,000. So the longer we wait, the more it's gonna cost.
Yep.
And so we're not doing anybody, including the customer, any favors.
So,
So just in that filter alone, and just what I said right there, I mean, there's probably $220,000 it needs to perform like the other filters.
okay,
But that's just one of 8 filters, and so, I mean, we're gonna talk about this, we might talk about it for a while, but they all need to be rehabbed. And so we've done Band-Aids, we've, on filters, just trying to buy some time, but the time is gonna come where we're gonna pay the piper.
are they included in the, rehab or the redone of the water treatment plant that, the 30-year has about 4 more years left to pay it off?
That was the last time that anything's been.
Right, it was what, 97 or 98? 96 or something, yeah, in that range, so we got about, so are we looking at possibly grant money to rebuild a lot of the water treatment plant?
I mean, grant's gonna take years.
Yeah, I know.
We're losing filters quick.
What capacity loss are you talking about as far as the ability to pass this water through?
Well, you mentioned earlier in the meeting that we came off of a drought and the demand, nobody used any water, and thankfully that happened. Wasn't the best for revenue, but that's probably what was best for the water treatment. Could we keep up with the car fire event? No, not without some special notification. Capacity, the plant's designed to make 33 million gallons a day. There's no way we can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do it, but it would be like a boil water advisory or something like that.
So in your opinion, do we need to revisit the budget and possibly allocate some money in that direction?
And that gets back to what I was saying last meeting, is there are some, such as Bill's problem, which is really lines up with our pipes problems, that we're gonna have to, we can't say we're gonna line up with grants, because like Bill said, that takes a long time. We've got to decide in our budget that we have to spend money on the water treatment plant, we have to budget it, and we have to say, okay, we're gonna do so many feet or a mile down Olinda and start fixing some lines on our own dime. We're gonna have to do it.
So we need a capital improvement plan
Yes.
and the master plan.
Yep, and so from this list, as well as a bunch of other things, Bill's putting together a nice spreadsheet of, $5 to $6 million worth of.
I believe it.
And because you did so well in paying off the Winnet earlier,
Yeah.
I know you can make it work.
Bill has a comment.
Back to what Director Beaver was saying, we still need a grant, and that's what's best for the customers.
Yes.
Yeah.
The base rate's gonna go through the roof, the usage rate will go through the roof.
Yes, it would.
But in the short term, we have to do something. Long term, grant, sure, free money, on board with that.
And we're working on some of that, especially from the distribution part, by tracking leaks and water loss and whatnot, and hopefully we can show that if we're actually losing about 16% of our water that passes through the treatment plant, we will encourage the state to give us some grants to knock that down to 4-5% maybe.
Good idea.
Can I ask one question, Audra? Since you work out at the college and are, the new department head,
That's probably a bit of a stretch. I'm the agriculture instructor.
so do you run into people who do grant writing at all?
Well, we have several grant writers at the college, and my experience doing my PhD included, grant writing as well, but it's not something I would consider myself super proficient in. But we do have grant writers at the school. So I guess what do you need? Is the question.
No.
Dennis?
Livingston.
John Livingston?
Yeah, John was a prior, ag instructor,
Okay.
and now he's working for me writing grants.
Oh,
uh,
okay.
At the Fire State Council.
Okay. So we'll segue right into that. So Dennis approached, Paul and I just yesterday or the day before in regards to the Firewise is working on a grant, for this area. Did you wanna elaborate a little bit? But what he's looking
Yeah.
for is just a letter of support, from the board, and we just need to direct Paul to sign that letter.
Yeah, I do. But prior though, John Livingston, who used to be the ag instructor at Shasta College, he's a private consultant. And so he's got several clients, or some clients, not just the Fire State Council. So if the water company wanted to hire John to write a grant, he's available. So I just toss that out there.
It might be something that we would pay for an initial grant, and then he would write his fee into subsequent grants, so that it didn't cost the customers any money.
Yeah.
We have to do something.
Yeah, so, Fire State Council, Cal Fire, has put out an announcement, here a while ago. And so, I'm the grant chair. And so, we're gonna write, two separate grant applications. And, Happy Valley would be involved in both of them. One would be a fire break down on, the North Fork Ranch, and it goes right along the development, boundary of the development.
Okay.
Probably shows up on that photo. It would be, would be right along the east side of the Happy Valley development. So to go from Happy Valley Road south, clean to Orlando Road. There'd be a fire break along there. So that would be one grant, and that's, and there's a separate fire break that would be part of that grant. I think up by Shasta Lake City.
Nothing to do with a possible chipper available for the community?
We've got one currently, available, and that grant is curbside chipping. The only problem is lots of people here buy them and burn them.
Yeah.
But, and where the homes are real close together on small lots, that would be an advantage. And if you have, say a dozen folks along in some general part there, we could send out a bunch of guys chipper and chip it. And that they would stack it along the road, and then we're just gonna chip it for nothing.
Are you aware of what Firewise is?
Yes, I was a fireman for 18 years.
Okay, excellent. We
And
have
then
a good group operating here.
Yeah, and then the second grant, that we are applying for, would be, along the road. It'd be a skinny strip along several roads, Happy Valley Road, West Alaska, kind of on a bus tour. Several roads would be 50 foot or more on each side. And that would be, and the purpose would be not to try to stop the fire, but just for evacuation.
Sure.
Would improve evacuation, because that's where people die, is, the fire reaches the road and folks get scared, they stop and won't go, and it jams up the whole road for evacuation. and then alongside that, 175 homes would receive, defensible space work. And that's, within, 100 foot of the structure. And that is targeted for, seniors, low income, and disabled, or some, the older folks, or someone has a problem they can't, they just can't do it themselves.
No more projects lately, though.
No, but that's what's on the,
So what do you need from us, Bruce?
well, I've got to type that up first. I'll type letters up. Right now, I've taken on a brand new job, as a juror.
Oh, you got selected, huh?
Oh.
I'm on a court case. And it's gonna go for several more days, so
Okay.
we'll have to wait.
All right.
So when that's done, then I'll have time to do that.
Okay.
I think all we need is direction from the board
Are we all
for
in
me to
agreement
sign
Okay,
when he's got the letters ready for that.
okay. So, everybody in agreement with that, with the board?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
okay, so we're in agreement to,
You hear that?
Thank you.
okay. So I did want to report on the LAFCO meeting that I attended,
Can I
and,
ask a question real quick?
Yep.
Bill, on your actuator that's broken, is it just an arm or or is it the actual actuator, the piston? You said it was a pneumatic. What is actually broke on it that's not working?
It's a, how do you describe this? It's a piece of metal that goes from the actual actuator,
To a valve?
through a hand wheel to a valve. So it's like it's kind of what joins.
Okay,
Two
my
things together.
my question is Tomasini's,
Oh, this is beyond compensating. I mean, he might be able to have it, but at, $150 an hour. But
at $150 an hour, it's a lot cheaper than 20,000 or 30,000, but I've seen that man build some stuff that,
yeah, I'm familiar with metal fab. I'm a bit of a guy myself,
so.
okay.
Thank you.
So the LAFCO meeting was held on December 7th, and there was quite a crowd there because there was a lot of problems with Fall River Mills Fire Department. Just to say that it was over 2.5 hours of people talking. The fire department wanted to annex, so LAFCO does a lot of annexations. So the fire department wanted to annex in Day Road and another portion that Cal Fire actually services. So, or County Fire, I think it was County Fire, because they're closer, that they can respond quicker. So the community is in an uproar because they want medical instead of just fire. And the part I wanted to share, which was scary to me, was that the fire department then just said, this is too much of a hoop to be, with the community in an uproar. They had a fire department meeting, and they decided to withdraw their application for annexation. It's not worth it, it's too much of a pain, let the people deal with the county, because they're wanting more than what the fire department was. The fire department is a fire department, it's not a medical thing. But the LAFCO commission wanted the minutes from the meeting, they wanted an agenda, and then there was something else that they wanted, and it's like, my gosh, what is LAFCO doing? They provided the minutes, and then the general counsel gentleman said, well, you didn't explain it, you didn't say what the discussion was. Our minutes a lot of times don't say the huge discussion. So I just, we have to be careful on things that we may be going forward with LAFCO. It was just scary to see that they were trying, and one member didn't vote for them accepting it because she wanted to see the agenda to make sure that they had it on their agenda. They didn't take their word for it. So they sat there and discussed for 2.5 hours what they were gonna do when that board in October had already requested to withdraw the application, and they were still discussing it. There was some mention of some kind of training that he said it was good for boards. So I meant to try to text that or email that George Williamson and ask him about what training, because he wasn't really clear on what it was, and then I can report back, but I didn't do that as of yet. Anyways, that was the main gist of it. Oh, so I waited the whole, yeah, I waited through that whole to find out who the new appointee was on LAFCO. And so Fred Reines did, the gentleman from Bernie did get on board. He was the alternate for many, many years, so now he did take Erwin's spot on the special districts.
The one thing you can do is record your meeting.
We do.
We do.
Hi, that's me. It's going up on YouTube after every meeting within a couple of days. Been doing so for 2 years.
What I'm saying is, any district meeting should always have a tape recording.
Yep.
So as long as you got that, you've got your discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But that's what I'm saying. They asked for those minutes, and then they wanted an agenda, and then there was something else they even wanted. I can't even remember what it was. And it's like, whoa, that just felt like it was overstepping to me.
Shasta Lake, I was a member of Central Valley Fire Department, was still Central Valley before it came Shasta Lake. And they ended up hiring a stenographer, I think that's what they call it, when they listen by the headphones and they type it out, the whole minute, everything, even what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Every word gets typed out.
Wow.
And we have that capability here too, but the minutes were way too long. Okay, so was there any other board items? Anybody? Okay, so yes, no?
I'm looking through it now.
No? So we do have a closed session announcement. We are going to, and I'll give an opportunity for the public to speak before we go into closed session. But we're doing a conference with, it says labor negotiators, government code, 54957.6, February 8th, MOU between the district and UTEC 792, Article 25.4. The designated representative is General Manager Paul Kelly, and the employee organization is UPEC 792. So those of you who were here last month, there's a discussion on how to deal with OPEB and how we can get that out of the system, because it's a detriment to the employees for
And the
OPEB.
district.
So, well, perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. He's going to show us some of the numbers of which way it is. So, are we looking at a possible decision this evening? No? Okay. So, when we reconvene after our closed session, and it probably will go for at least an hour, we are not planning on having any decision made, so we will just come back in and just say we had a discussion. So if you wish to leave now, you can leave now.
Yep, the report out will be, directions given to the negotiator, and any decisions will be made at an open regular meeting in the future, which is planned for January 17th.
Okay, all right. So we are going to convene, any comments from the public before we go to closed session? So the time is 7:48, and we're convening to closed session.